We are going to look at fractions, generally operations on fractions. When we talk about operations on fractions, we mean addition, subtraction, division, and then multiplication of fractions. How we can add fractions, how we can subtract them, how we can multiply them, and how we can divide them. So we are starting with addition and the subtraction of fractions. Fractions can only be added if and only if their denominators are the same. If the denominators are the same, then we simply add the numerators normally, and then we divide by the what? We divide the answer by the denominator that is there. For example, we want to see how we can add these fractions. We want to see how we can add these fractions. Example, add 1/3 plus 2/3. So we can see that in this case, the denominators are the same. We have 3 and then we have 3. So since the denominators are the same, we just simply add the numerators normally. So here we shall have, we add 1, then plus 2, and then we divide by 1 of the denominators, which is 3. So that we now get 1 plus 2, we get 3, then over 3. And the 3 divided by 3, we get 1. So therefore, this one becomes our answer. When we add 1/3 plus 2/3, we get 1 as the answer. Example 2, we can have 1 which is in form of a subtraction, like subtract 3/5 minus 1/5. So in this case, we can also say that the denominators are the same. We have 5, we have 5. So since the denominators are the same, we say that we simply subtract the numerators only. So this gives us 3 minus 1 all over 5. And 3 minus 1, automatically we shall get 2, then over 5. So the 2/5 becomes the answer. So basically, that is how we add and subtract the fractions if the denominators are the same. However, if the denominators are not the same, what we do, we don't use the same procedure. If the denominators are not the same, what we do is we have to get what we call LCM. And the LCM stands for lowest common multiple. So we are saying if the denominators are not the same, we have to obtain what we call the lowest common multiple of the denominators. After getting the lowest common multiple, then we simply divide that lowest common multiple by each of the denominators. And then we get the answer. For example, we can have an example here. If the denominators are not the same. Here we can have add 2 over 3, 2 over 3 plus 6 over 4. 2 over 3 plus 6 over 4. We can have a case like that one. So we can say that the denominators are not the same. So if the denominators are not the same, we get what we call the LCM. The LCM of 3 and 4. And we can say that the LCM of 3 and 4 is 12. So we divide this 12 by 3. 12 divided by 3, we get 4. And 4 times 2, we get 8. Then plus, we divide 12 also by 4, we get 3. And 3 times 6, we get 18. So that our answer now becomes 8 plus 18, which is 26 over 12. So when we look at 26 and 12, we can say that they have a common factor. The factor which they share is 2, because you can divide 12 by 2 and get no remainder. 26 also divided by 2, we get no remainder. So I will cancel this. I divide 12 by 2, we get 6. 26 divided by 2, we get 13. So that lastly we now have 13 divided by 2, by 6. So 13 divided by 6 goes 2 times, 2 whole numbers and then 1 out of 6. So the 2 and the 1 over 6 will give us the what? The answer. So this is simply occurs when the denominators are not the same. We can also have a case for subtraction. Suppose we are subtracting 9 over 10 minus 1 over 3. 1 over 3. This one also we can say that the denominators are not the same. So if they are not the same, we shall simply get the LCM. The LCM of 10 and 3, we can say that it's 30. So 30 divided by 10 was 3 times, and 33 times 9, we get 27. Minus 30 divided by 3, we get 10, and 10 times 1, we get 10. So that we now get 27 minus 10, we get 17 out of 30. So the 17 over 30 have no common factor. There is no common factor. So if there is no common factor, we leave it as it is. This becomes a simplified what? Fraction. That is basically how we can add and subtract what? Fractions. I think that is okay. We can now move to the next part on operation of fractions. We said that fractions can also be multiplied. So we want to see how we can multiply fractions. In order to multiply fractions, what we do is we multiply a numerator by a numerator to get a new numerator. Then we also multiply the denominator by the denominator to get a new denominator. So when we do that, we shall have multiplied what? Fractions. So after multiplying, when we see that if the answer has a common factor, then we have to reduce the fraction to its simplest form. We can have an example here on how we can multiply fractions. Example number 1. we can get, we can have an example like this: A over B times C over D. You can see that A is the numerator, the C is also a numerator, B is a denominator, the D is also a denominator. So what we are saying is that we simply multiply the numerators separately and then the denominators also separately. So this gives us, we have A times C over B times D. So that we now get A times C, we get AC, and then B times D, we get BD. So this becomes the fraction AC over BD. We can also look at another example, and in this example, we are having numerical figures. Here we have been dealing with the letters. Suppose they are in form of figures. For figures, we can have an example like 3 over 5 times 8 over 7. 8 over 7. How do we multiply this? We can see that the procedure is the same. We also multiply the numerator by the numerator to get the new numerator. So in this case, we shall have 3 times 8 over, we also multiply the denominators separately, which is 5 times 7. And therefore, when I multiply these numerators automatically, we shall get 24 over 5 times 7, we find that we get what? 35. So when you look at 24 and 35, you can see that there is nothing in common. We don't have any common factor there. So since there is no common factor, it means that it's a simplified fraction. So basically, that is how we can multiply that. There are circumstances whereby we may be given mixed numbers. Mixed numbers. Suppose we are given a mixed numbers. So to multiply mixed numbers, what we do is we have to change first of all the mixed number into what we call improper fraction. After changing them to improper fractions, then you now continue with the normal process of multiplying fractions. So in this case, we can have an example, 2 whole numbers and 7 over 10. We are multiplying it by 1 whole number and then 2 over 3. 2 over 3. So as I said, we have to change this first of all to to improper fraction. So 2 times 10, we get 20. 2 times 10. Then we add the numerator to it. The numerator is 7. Then all over 10 plus. We also do the same. We multiply 1 by 3. That is 1 times 3. Then we add the numerator to it, which is 2. And then we divide by what? By 3. So that in this case, this is 20 plus 7, we get 27 out of 10. Then plus 1 times 3 is 3 plus 2, which is 5 over 3. So the 5 over 3 plus the 27 over 10, you can see that we shall get the LCM of 10 and the 3, which is what? 30. So 30 divided by 10, we get 3. And the 3 times 27. 3 times 27, we automatically get 81. 81. So that 30 now divided by 3, we get 10. And 10 times 5, we get what? 50. So in this case, we shall now get 81 plus 50. We find that we get 131. 131 all over 30. So 131 over 30. So we cannot leave that one in that form. We can't leave it in that form. Why? Because the numerator is bigger than the what? The denominator. So we are saying we get 131. 131 all over 30. Over 30. So 131 divided by 30. Here what we do is we use what we call the long division method, whereby we shall write 131 here and then we divide it by what? By 30. So 131 divided by 30 goes how many times? We can say that it goes 4 times. So we write the 4 here. Now 4 times 30, we get 120. Then we subtract. And when we subtract here, 1 minus 0, we get 1. 3 minus 2, we get 1. So that the answer will now give us 4 whole numbers and 11 over 30. So this one becomes the last answer. So that is basically how we multiply fractions. However, for easy multiplication, when you see that some of the fractions have common factors, the first thing is to cancel, to reduce it in its simplest form. After reducing them into their simplest form, that is when you can multiply the numerators and then the denominators separately. For example, we can have an example like 4 over 27 times 21 out of 16. So you can see that when you look at this, if you want to make matters easy, you can see that 4 is a factor of 16. Then 21 and the 27 have a common factor. They have a number that they share in common as a common factor. So we can begin by reducing them first. By 4 ones, 16 divided by 4, we get 4. So I've reduced that. So when we look at 21 and 27, you can see that their common factor is 3. So I will divide the 21 by 3. 21 divided by 3 was 7. Then 27 divided by 3 is 9. So in this case, we shall have 1 times 7, you get 7 over 9 times 4, you get 36. So you can see that we start cancelling it from the beginning. The essence of cancelling from the beginning is to reduce the fractions into their simplest forms, after which you multiply. So that is about fractions. So the next thing that we are going to look at is, before we look at the division of fractions, we need to look at first of all what we call reciprocals. Reciprocals. So, because the reciprocals simply guide us in division of fractions. If you don't know how to deal with the reciprocals, then it will be very hard for one to divide what? Fractions. First of all, the reciprocal of a number is 1 divided by that number. The reciprocal of a number is defined as 1 divided by that number. For example, the reciprocal of x is 1 divided by x. The reciprocal of 2 is 1 divided by 2. However, if they have specified the number by putting maybe a numerator and then the denominator, like if it's a fraction, the reciprocal of that fraction is obtained by interchanging the numerator and then the what? The denominator. Whereby the numerator will change the position in the position of the numerator we write the denominator, and in the position of the denominator we write the what? The numerator. When we do that, we have written the reciprocal of a number. So we are saying in G, reciprocal of 2 over 3 is 3 over 2. You can see that the 3 goes up and the 2 comes in down. A reciprocal of 2 alone is the same as 1 divided by 2. Because when we look at 2, another way of writing the 2 is 2 over 1. Because 2 divided by 1 is the same as 2. So therefore, its reciprocal now becomes 1 over 2. You simply invert. That is how we can obtain the reciprocal in simple terms. However, there is, this method here normally was covered in primary and so on. This is what people used to know. But however, for the secondary level, there is another method which I have to introduce you to. That is a method of reciprocal. And this method here is when you are obtaining the reciprocal of a number, we simply let the reciprocal to be equal to a certain letter first. Now, after letting it to be a certain letter, you multiply that letter by the given figure and then equate to 1. Then you solve for the value of the unknown. When you solve it, what you get will be equal to the reciprocal of that number. For example, let us look at an example. We want to find the reciprocal. Find the reciprocal of maybe 2 over 3. Reciprocal of 2 over 3. So the solution is, we don't know the reciprocal of that number, first of all. So we are saying, we let the reciprocal be, we can let it to be x. After letting it to be x, so we are saying we multiply that number, which is 2 over 3, you multiply it by the reciprocal, which is x. And then we equate to 1. So in this case, 2 times x, we get 2x over what? 3. And then we equate to 1. So in this case, to remove the denominator, I will multiply both sides by 3, here also by 3. The 3 automatically will cancel. We are left with the 2x. We are now left with the 2x. 2x is equal to 3. Is equal to 3 on the other side. So we divide both sides by 2, here also by 2. And when you divide, you will find that x is equal to 3 over 2. then we will conclude that therefore the reciprocal of 2 over 3 is 3 over 2. So our reciprocal of 2 over 3 is equal to 3 over 2. So that is the method that you can use for finding the reciprocals of numbers. So,
yeah, like 2 minutes to stop this, and then we shall resume.
alright. So, you find that the reciprocal of numbers help us in dividing the what? Fractions. It helps us in dividing the fractions. So, for that reason, therefore, we can now look at how we can divide the what? Fractions. How we can divide the fractions. So, division of fractions. Of fractions. Division of fractions. We are saying we are looking at the division of what? Fractions. So when we are dividing the fractions, basically, you multiply the dividend, the dividend by its reciprocal. You simply multiply the divisor by the dividend, by the reciprocal of the dividend. I repeat, when we are dividing the fractions, you multiply the divisor by the reciprocal of the dividend. This is what we mean. For example, we can divide this. Let us see how we can divide some of this. Divide 4 over 5 by 2 over 3. We are dividing 4 over 5 by 2 over 3. This is what we call the dividend, and then this is what we call the divisor. This is the divisor, then this is the dividend. So what we are saying is that we get the reciprocal of the dividend, then we multiply it by the divisor. So the division sign will have to change to multiplication. So in this case, we shall have 4 over 5, we multiply by the reciprocal of the dividend, that is 3 over 2. So here, we continue. In this case, you will find that 2 and 4 have a common factor. So we shall cancel by 2 once, by 2 was 2 times. And we shall now multiply the numerators. 2 times 3, we get 6. We get 6. Then divided by 5 times 1, you get 5. And therefore, 6 divided by 5, we get 1 whole number and 1 over 5. So this one now becomes the answer. So basically, this is how we divide what? Fractions. We can also have another example to make you understand better. We can have example 2. We have one whole number and 1 over 6 divided by 2 whole numbers and 1 over 3. So in this case, we find that these are mixed numbers which are to be divided. So the method is we first change the mixed numbers into what we call improper fractions. And how we change from mixed number to improper fractions? We multiply the whole number by the denominator and then you add the numerator to it as usual. So here we shall say 1 times 6, then plus 1 whole over 6, divided by 2 times 3, then plus 1 all over 3. Then we simplify. 1 times 6, you get 6 plus 1, we now get 7 all over 6. Divided by 2 times 3, you get 6 plus 1, we also get 7 all over 3. So we now continue with our process of dividing what? Fractions. So in this case, we said that we multiply the divisor by the reciprocal of the dividend. So in this case, we shall have 7 over 6. You multiply by the reciprocal of 7 over 3 is 3 over 7. So you can say that this 7 will cancel with the 7. Then by 3, 1 by 3, 2. And our answer will now give us 1 times this 1, we get 1 over 2 times 1, you get 2. So the answer will be a half. So when you divide this, you get a half. So basically that is how we add, how we can multiply, how we can divide what? Fractions. For that reason, therefore, our lesson of today has ended here. When we meet next time, we shall look at something different. Good afternoon. Thank you for listening.